Okay, so we are talking about who am I, and I think just by the debate that we've had, you can see that that is quite a contentious question. It is not as simple as that. It seems like, oh, who am I? And like, of course we know, and that's a lot of the time, that's where the basis of the problem starts, and then it becomes difficult to roll it out, and then we sit with the problems on return on investment with marketing. Okay, another thing of the who am I is who's my employee and where they fit in. We've discussed that quite a bit as well. Even the examples that we had of saying that, you know, it's literally every employee's reaction that matters. It is not just a client-facing or specifically client-facing person in that, or a salesperson or a marketing person, but it is everybody. This model, and I'm not going to go into the detail of that, but it's built on a lot of research that has been done in many places in the world that proves to you that if you can improve your employee satisfaction, and you can get the right people to stay. So not all people, and not all people must be happy, the right people in it. And you can have better internal quality in a customer-focused environment. You will improve your customer services, and therefore the customer will stay longer and you will make more money. And there's an argument that comes in there that says that a happy customer and a happy employee feeds one another, and that's a happy customer gives you a happy employee, and a happy employee gives you a happy customer in that. Do you believe that you can make more money with happy people than with unhappy people? Why? Where does that money come from, that more?
Well, obviously you're going to give a positive input. So when you're dealing with your customer, you're going to have more enthusiasm, you're going to have more inspiration to actually sell him a product or a service. So.
Now think about yourself. If you have a down day, no, it's not as if we are at our best. It's not as if you feel like selling with enthusiasm and engaging properly in that. Where else? Where are you making your money if you are making more money with happy employees than with unhappy ones? Where does that more money come from?
For starters, an unhappy employee must be at work. A happy employee wants to be at work.
Huge difference.
And that difference is vast, and it
if I'm unhappy, I come a bit late, I leave a bit early.
Yeah.
I take smoke breaks, even if I don't smoke.
Correct.
I see how long I can have lunch. There's so many opportunities for disengagement, never mind absenteeism. A friend of mine the other day, I said to her, you know, is it really serious that she needs to get a different job? Because she says to me that she has to still take her 5-6 leave days. No, you don't take sick leave days. You know, they are for when you are ill. And they know, yeah, so if you think that you should still take your 5-6, there's something wrong. So unhappy employees are often sometimes even a bit abusive of how they can just make the system work for them, shall we say.
But there also can be, you know, that negative factor in the organisation. Like you were saying, some people need to get out. Get them out, because that can influence your rest of your positive people. So.
Exactly. And you must have colleagues like that, and where you see that person approaching and you know there's an hour gone. This person is going to come into your office and just like spew all of this toxins into that to say, this is so horrible, my boss is this, and what about this, and how can they exploit us like that? And then this thing just goes and goes. We're talking about how happy customers and happy employees relate, and how we can make more money if people are happier in organizations. You know that they show that even just a 5% difference in your employee satisfaction. So we're not talking about the idea of perfectly happy people. I mean, that does not exist. We're not going to go down that route. No. So 5% increase in employee satisfaction can give you a level of energy inside your organization that then pays out on. So happier people are more productive. Unhappy people recruit other people to be unhappy. Exactly that. And that's one of your big issues. You know that with as your employee satisfaction falls, your shrinkage increases. And people make more mistakes. They are more careless, but they also use more things in the organization. Now, people that care about the resources of the company will not print as much as they can and use extra resources. They understand that I also have to make sure about the efficiencies of that, where people that are unhappy do not tend to do that. And so there's many places of where we know that unhappy employees is a cost center to the organization, but also obviously they damage customer relationships in. So So happier employees gives you happier customers as well as the other way around, and that does feed your profit inside your organization. So before, again, we can do normal consumer marketing, we are back to internal marketing in terms of that. How do we get the employees on board? And referring to our conversation earlier, all employees, right from the reception staff up to the CEO, in that everyone.
And Melanie, within Altech, it's even more relevant because if you listen to Craig Fenter at the public announcements and so on, some 80% of this business is annuity income. When we sign up a customer, we have money for at least the next 24 to 36 months.
Yeah.
If we get him to stay, he stays another 24 to 36 months.
And every time you work with
bottles
it,
of water next month, you start at zero.
Yeah.
We're blessed to have this annuity.
Yes, but then protect it, no? Now it's almost then to say that we are here to see how long that person can stay. That's the trick. So relationship marketing becomes crucial in how we get people to be part of communities and all of that. No? The whole idea of digital marketing works very well with creating online communities and even offline communities. I mean, Mark was earlier referring to the whole idea of events and then saying, yes, but it's just physical events. So one has to see how you can optimize that, and one can do very different example. But say, for example, that you buy Nike shoes these days. Then you can buy those shoes with that little chip in, and then it feeds to your watch, and it's got all of these things that you can download, and how fast did I run, and how many steps, and how many kilometers, and what kilojoules did I burn, and then that links me to a Nike community that says, for people in my area, this is how I compare. And then it tells me, but you know, these people get together from the Nike store and that they run together in that. So then there's a physical community as well as an online community that starts happening in how people compare their information. So maybe we can have a look at to say what type of events are they planning in, and can we not connect people after the event or even before the event to get more information out of people, to create chat rooms and those type of things around these events, that you take it both digital and physical in. Some people can be at the actual events, other people not. Also just changing them into webinars and those type of things can also add value as we are going along. So really looking at things to say how can we optimize that, but it's looking at the broader idea of business, not just at the marketing side of it. One last thing of the internal side, the who am I. When we look at companies, it is often not just the people inside, but also shareholders and that comes into the equation. And people often say, you know, to manage a shareholder is different from managing a business. So there's many different balls that you have to have a look at. So we look at how we grow value for the customers, the primary driver, the productivity increases inside the organization, growth that we have in the organization, innovation that we have, and high performance management teams. And if you start adding up these things, what you have is something to sell. So we cannot say something like productivity is unrelated to marketing or customer service. If there's no energy inside a workforce, then what are you selling in? So we often work with the idea of employee motivation. How do you create a team of people that people want to engage with, that people think they are fascinating people, they are energetic people, and how do I engage with them? Now, employee motivation is just one of the really, really difficult things to do. The other day I read a quote that somebody said, the problem with motivation is it's not sustainable. And somebody else said, yes, it's like taking a shower. You're not sustainably clean. You become dirty immediately again. So that's why we take a shower daily. The motivation is the same thing. If you don't motivate people daily, it kind of wears off. So there's no single answer of, oh, we're going to motivate people, let's run a campaign. It is a way of doing business to say, how do I engage with my workforce that people want to be part of it, that people want to be productive, that people actually like it. Think even of things like the Google story, if you read the book on the Google story, where they said, no, why do we want people to come and play at work? Because when you play, you stay longer. When you play, you are creative. When you play, you have teamwork in terms of it. And so often in companies, we have this attitude of this is a place we work, this is not a place we play. And we just maybe have to ask ourselves again, like our conversations around gaming this morning, where we might think, oh, that's a different world. Maybe that's not a different world. Maybe we can learn from play and see how do we make it nice for people at work. How do we make give it a positive energy and see how we can work around that. Maybe just for the people that came in a bit late, there's some of the people that's leaving for Durban and they have to leave by 3. So we're going to push through this theory side of that. So even if people want to discuss other things, please feel free that we can stay and discuss as much as we can, but we just want to make sure that we cover the theory side of that. Okay, you can stop me at any point in time still, but I am going to start moving through the slides just a little bit faster. Okay, so that's the internal side, the who am I? And I think we all agree now that that is actually quite a confusing question, and companies can be quite schizophrenic at times. So you have to know that answer before you can start your marketing. The next one, who's my customer or my stakeholder? Often when we talk about marketing, we automatically talk about a customer, the final customer, the person that's using our product. Yes, that person can be inside the organization or outside the organization, and that is acknowledged, but it's still a customer. But what we are seeing is that in marketing, we create relationships, the social exchanges that we were talking about in the beginning. And the more solid those exchanges are, and the more value they have, the stronger this organization becomes. So we have to ask ourselves, if Altech is going to be moved forward, who's the key relationships in that? And then earlier we mentioned maybe a competitor, or somebody that we need to build a relationship with in terms of putting things in the market. Think of SASwitch, the different banks that run on SASwitch. So at any bank you can draw money with your card for a given fee, yes, or how the base stations work. And if I'm from Vodafone, it doesn't mean that I go through one of theirs. So there's many of these things where it is collaboration on infrastructure, and that brings efficiencies, operational excellence again, to say, do we all need our own infrastructure? Very difficult question to answer and needs to be managed well, but it is a possibility of how we look at industries in a broader way. How do we create relationships with key suppliers? Because if our suppliers drop us, how do we serve our customers, or our intermediaries or resellers? How does government influence us? I mean, if government changes something like a minimum wage in organizations, it's got massive implication. They bring a different policy out. They bring out different taxes in. How does that influence us, and what do we need to engage in to keep good relationship there? Government can obviously, for a lot of people, also be the customer. Then the employees. Now we've mentioned now a couple of times that the key lies there. It's through my employees that I'm serving my customer, and every employee becomes somebody that delivers the brand experience to the customer. So they are really important. Getting the right employees and then motivating the right employees in. Local communities, to see how we affect local communities. This could be social spending, corporate social investment, but it could also be just a case of being a responsible citizen in that, where it's not necessarily related to a CSI effort, like we say maybe a soup kitchen in that, but it's not necessarily as unrelated to our business, but asking ourselves, how do we link into our local communities? How do we add value? Imagine you support technology in schools. Now, when you support technology in schools, say you support maths and science, we know we've got a big issue in the country with maths and science. Now, people that had maths and science at school have a far greater tendency to pick up technology. So you're creating your future customer. You see the link in terms of that. Now, some people say, no, but CSI must be money that you just give away. And other people say, but why? Why? I can still do something amazing, like supporting maths and science in school, while I understand I'm creating my own customer. There's nothing wrong in terms of those type of approaches as well. We look at special interest groups, how people give out information in that, especially when things go wrong and you sit with PR issues, lenders, owners. Even the management of the organization can be your stakeholder. If you put in a budget and it says this is the budget we're going to need for next year, and do you think that a good dose of marketing in the last year of your efforts would have been good? There's nothing as bad as the unknown good guy. No, who wants to be that, where you do really great work but nobody realizes the amount of effort that you've put in? So how do we make sure inside the organization that our high performance teams are being seen and the value that they're adding is being seen in? So positioning yourself in terms of that. also very important. So when we say who is my customer, that is a very broad term that more relates to stakeholders and could be anything of whom I have to have a relationship with if I want to have a solid business. Okay, now then the environment. Remember the question said there's 3 questions we have to answer before we start embarking on designing a strategy. The first one is who am I? Then who's my customer or stakeholder, and then what's the environment that we are dealing in. I'm going to share a model with you here that shows us the importance of environmental awareness, of understanding the context in which we work. So it's kind of a way of thinking about long-term planning. It's from a company called Future World. They're futurologists, so let me just get the word correct. And they are actually quite good at making it very practical for companies. Sometimes these future type talks can be so weird and wonderful that you walk out and they are very fascinating, but you don't have a clue what to do with the information that you now have. In their case, they are able to really link the future in a way that we can understand it. The person leading this is Wolfgang Rolke. And so if you ever see one of these talks, it is quite amazing to go and hear him speak. Okay, now this is their model. The model is called Strategic Thinking in Action. And what they say is that when we do planning, we often think of our business from a very narrow point of view, and that can give us the wrong answer of who we want to be. Now this is their argument. So you have a look at whether you think this could work. What they say is, this is my business today. That's my customer today, and that's the environment in which the customer is living. Now, what they say is what we do as businesses, we so often sit in business and say, this is what I'm doing today, this is Altech today. What's Altech 5 years from now? What's Altech going to be 10 years from now? And the idea of that long-term planning. And so I project the business forward. Now, as soon as we do that, then there's an idea that says today and tomorrow is related. That tomorrow would be an extrapolation from today. No. Now, okay, do we believe that today and tomorrow is linked? Strange question, eh?
Yes.
We do, because that gives us security, and it makes us feel as if there's got some control over our lives. Is today and tomorrow related? Really?
Yes.
Okay, here's a tsunami.
Tomorrow's still going to happen.
It's still going to happen, but not for your business in the same way. Say that there's a revolution in South Africa. The youth decide, this unemployment is just not it, and we've got lots of new forces in the country, and off we go, there's a civil war. Is today and tomorrow related from a business point of view? Not necessarily. What if there's completely new technology that comes out that we just didn't foresee at all, something that we can't even conceptualize now, but it changes the way it works? Imagine there's something on Earth that happens that makes the generation of electricity impossible. There's something coming from the outside and zoom, 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 and now electricity, the concept of it doesn't work anymore. We are in the dark ages, literally, if that is going to happen.
You've watched too many movies.
You've
watched too many movies. Revolution or something has done that. There's a series that they've actually done that in. Yeah. It's called Revolution.
Revolution. Yeah. You should send me a list of things. I really do want you to send me the games list that I want to go and have a look at how they do those YouTube things. So please do that. But add the movies that I should watch as well, please.
Because basically what they've done is the whole story is about. Sorry, I'm just going to quickly add reference to it. But it's basically they've done that. The U.S. government had some sort of training exercise or something, and then they caused an effect that would wipe out all the electricity generation across the planet and all devices that uses electricity.
I thought I was saying something ridiculous.
And then basically, the whole series play off 10 years later.
Yeah.
Where now everybody has got this like almost middle-aged type of thing where they now have to walk through streets that the grass has started growing through because they can't even generate petrol power. Nothing that uses electricity works. No cars work, no nothing. And then they walk around and kill each other.
And here's me thinking I'm being ridiculous, huh?
But yes,
but sometimes we think we're so smart, but in a way we are so fragile Because if you just take small things out of our environment, then life as we have it is not possible anymore. But the idea is, think about if we take an old example of that, the typewriter industry. Did they think they're going to make more typewriters? Yes. Yes.
And
Did they foresee
pencils.
the PC?
And even pencils.
The
Pencil.
pencil.
It's
Yes.
a small thing,
Yes.
but how many
Yes.
people uses pencils?
Anymore. The other day at a conference, I got a pencil, and I thought it was quite quaint. You know, I thought, oh, look at this. This is quite something nice. It's novel to give me a pencil. Because I'm so used to not seeing them anymore.
It's only in schools that you
Yes, that you actually still see that. So if you look at the typewriter industry, they were maybe planning to do some really nice colors the next year and really funky designs, and the PC came out. So it's that idea of that I thought I was in the typewriter industry, but now I'm just irrelevant. So something changes in the world that just annihilates the possibility of your business. And that is what they say, is that when we think about this is Altech today, what is Altech tomorrow, we may miss those type of really invasive shifts that happens in that changes industries forever. And we have to make sure. Now, they say that the following thinking pattern will help us. So the first thing we have to say is our customer, your customer, do they use your services because of you, because of Altech, or do they use your services because of a need that is created in the environments that they live in?
It's the environment.
That's their needs.
Now there is the argument that says yes, but businesses create need, ne? It's like everything is not necessarily there. But now, yes, if Apple brings out iPod and iPad and iPhone and all of those type of things, it's still based on a need for communication and connection. And so that's an environmental thing. Take fashion. Fashion is an ideal one because it's such an artificially generated concept in. But would I wear pink plastic pants if my environment would not think it's great? No, it would be ridiculous. It is ridiculous. Let's start with it. It is ridiculous. You will only do that if there's some acknowledgement that comes out of your environment. If the environment appreciates fashion, then you do strange things. You wear really uncomfortable shoes, for example, in that. Why would you do that in your normal state? In that, we won't. So the environment sets a certain standard. The customer responds and creates a need pattern, and the business then serves that need. No. So in a way, we can say that the customer does not need us. They are a product of their environment. So what happens here is that the business side is plug in, plug out. And that's what's mostly happening in the market. People can be satisfied with the same product from business A or business B or business C or business D. It doesn't matter to them which one they are buying from in that. And that's then why it's important for the value proposition to be strong enough that people want to buy from you. They don't need you in particular, they need a business, a need to be served in.
Melanie,
that's the
getting
argument.
back to the environment thing. So what you're saying is that the environment dictates how it acts on a certain brand or service.
To some extent, yes. Yes. Yeah, to a large extent, rather. Give me an example where the environment does not influence somebody's need.
Shock is a hard one.
It is.
All environments are different.
Environment has a huge influence on how we act and what we buy and what we need. Do we agree on that? So environment is really important here. So, and what they are saying is, if I say this is Altech today, that's Altech tomorrow, I may have blind spots. I can possibly get it right, hopefully, but I may have blind spots. And what they are saying is, if I can rather say, what is the environment that my customer is currently living in, and therefore, why do they need me, and do I give them a valuable service? And on the environmental level, it's the only level that we are able to more accurately predict into the future. If you think our technology, our technology moves through the world. There is patterns in terms of it. We can understand, okay, this is how companies are changing. For example, the whole idea of work is not a place you go to, it's something you do, where people can potentially work from home. So that might be a new environment, and it's an environmental shift that comes in there that will create huge opportunities for us to build different systems so that customers can be so that our customers can be connected from home in order to link to their businesses. But it's understanding that shift in a labor market that comes in. If we take South Africa and we say what we are sitting with is we are sitting with in our youth population, we are sitting with a higher than 60% unemployment rate on educated youth. You know how dangerous that is? And if we can't create inclusive businesses where we are saying, how do each one of us ensure that we give more young people opportunities, potentially we can go into a revolution, really. And so we are in the revolution age still. If you look at revolutions throughout the world, our society is at a very dangerous level. And if you combine unemployment with education, you have a huge problem in. Now, would you be on this course if you think you're going to get nothing? Nothing. Just honestly, sir. No. No, but we're not like that. We do things for things that we want. It's a transaction. We would love to say, no, it's just an intrinsic thing. I just love education in that. Yes, I'll read a book if I feel like that. I am on this course because I want a promotion. I want to go forward. I want to move someplace. Okay, so if we look at the environment, it's about saying that what is the environment that our customer is going to live in 5 years from now or 10 years from now? Whether that is even our employees. This morning we were talking about different generations and how different they are to work with. So the environment of the labor force has also changed and how we interact with people. You know, it was quite normal 15 years ago for people to go for a drink on a Friday night with their colleagues. It's very normal. How often does that happen today? It is
Explain that to the cop standing on the side of the road.
Well, maybe people go and drink elsewhere with their friends now. They just don't drink with their colleagues, they go and drink with their friends. So when we look at it, it's very different. These days, when you say to employees, you know, let's do a team building thing on Saturday, what do you think, honestly?
Not one person will rock up.
It's like, what a bad idea. Or you sit in companies and they say, we are arranging a Christmas party, and people ask you, is it voluntary? Oh, shouldn't we just stop the arrangement of that immediately? And you know, if people are forced to go to the Christmas party, why do we still have a Christmas party? But the way that we interact at work has also changed in terms of that. There's far more pressure on quality of life and a balanced life and those things. That's been before. So it's new environmental things. And we need new systems to be able to cope with that, new ideas, new thinking around that. Now it's the same for all of our customers to say, as the world moves, and maybe their work environment shifts, maybe their home environment shifts, many things can shift, but it changes the way that this customer sees the world, and therefore that customer's needs change. And if my business cannot adapt its services to the world that my customer live in, then I become irrelevant. And what Future World basically says is that they say so often, we want to make that projection there. And that can give us blind spots. It's not completely a failure, but it can give us blind spots. But when we go this way to say, how is our environment changing in? Give you an example of South Africa of a environmental shift that has huge implications for businesses. As more and more people have to get into the economic pyramid, in that more active in the economic pyramid, and we're sitting with 7 million people, and now they're dropping that line. The upper end markets are saturated, so people are looking for new customers. Now, 7 years ago, in a township, people would have been willing to travel 2 hours at a given point in time in a month, say month end, to go and buy groceries and all the stuff that they need. 2 hours. Over the last 2 years, those 2 hours have come down to 20 minutes. People are willing to travel 20 minutes to go and do their shopping. Now, if you're serving that customer, what does that mean for you?
Opportunity.
The?
Opportunity.
Opportunity.
Yeah.
Where's the opportunity?
Well, obviously, go 10 minutes.
Yes.
Bring your
Yes.
shopping centre closer.
Yes. Is you have to be inside that community. People are not going to come to you 2 hours down the line. You have to do local development.
That's basically what Checkers did.
Yes.
Instead of these hypermarkets, they've got
Yes.
now supermarkets, they're
Yes.
smaller, but they're more.
There's more. Because it's everything is about location in that. Now, I mean, the results show you that people don't buy groceries at their favorite shop. They buy groceries at their closest shop. And people will complain about it all the
Yeah,
time.
because you've also got to look at your petrol factor as well. So
Exactly.
obviously there's all those factors that come into play.
And you know, people are sick and tired of the idea that somebody's got a special and when you get there it's sold out. So I'm not going to take a taxi to go for a special that is not there anymore. And so just that, it took from 2-hour travel time to 20 minutes travel time, and it changed the way business works with underdeveloped or unevenly developed markets. And you see it's an environmental shift, huge business issues that come in there. Think about our schools at the moment. One of the big things in the schools is to get beyond ourselves. No? So we're sitting with this enormous issue that we can't churn out good teachers fast enough and then control them once we've churned them out. We have no ability to do that. So we have to get children connected in a different way. So the idea of having all schools fully connected, that there's Wi-Fi through all schools and that all children are on some form of a connection, whether on a smartphone or a tablet or a computer in that, is key in terms of the education of the country. Do you think there's some business opportunities there?
No, because the government doesn't pay much.
Hmm?
Education, if you go into educational deployment and things like that, you realize that they all want everything for free.
Hmm?
So the only way to get business if that's a business opportunity, the only way, if it's a business opportunity, to get a sponsor that will ask for it, because
Okay, can't you?
That's changing, eh? That's
Hmm?
changing fast.
Yeah.
it's,
And remember, don't just think of South Africa. Do you think that the education issue is just ours? No, it's not. It's actually everyone's. Let me give you an example of, they say there's the 3 biggest things that's coming now as innovations and new products in education, then products in health, and products in government to citizen communication. Governments are losing control over their citizens and they want better ways to communicate or connect to their citizens in. When you look at the opportunities coming in there, it looks different. I'll give you an example. Vodafone bought out this small company that builds all of these apps and things. Very interesting setup and that, but it works on the sideline on Vodacom Ventures, not in the main issue, because they say the big animal can't change and they have to bring their innovation in from a small company on the side. Imagine you're a pharmaceutical company giving a diabetes drug into the primary healthcare system. So the drug is basically paid for by government. No, it's a free drug. The pharmaceutical company still gets money. They get paid for that. Very well negotiated rates, but still. So for that pharmaceutical company, what they need is for everybody that needs that drug to use the drug, because that's the only way they can optimize their money out of that and really make it. So what they did is they built an app and that's on my phone that says, say that I now have diabetes, then this app will be on my phone, and every morning it'll say, did you drink your pill, did you drink your pill, did you drink? And every morning I say yes, 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 yes. So that becomes like medication control, and that says, you skipped 2 days, is there a problem with that, da 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 da. So I force you now to drink this every day. Then at some point in time my phone will say to me, look, your pills are going to be finished next Wednesday. What day do you think you're going to go to the clinic in? I think I'm going to go on Monday. Then it sends a message to the stock keeping system of the clinic, the local clinic that I'm going to, and says, do you have that pill? If it doesn't, it dispatches the order to the pharmaceutical company to say, make sure that you deliver that pill. But it also goes back to the person that says, don't go to the clinic on Monday. You have to go to the clinic on Wednesday because they don't have that in stock at this point in time. That way, I optimize the resource of the customer, the patient, so I don't waste travel money for the person and time in, and I optimize the income that the pharmaceutical company can actually get out of the drug that they are supplying at a very low cost. If you multiply that into millions, you have a stunning market. So, and we are seeing things like that. That is interesting. It's interesting. It's different ways of looking after it. And as I mentioned, the whole gaming thing and children, that's Vodafone and SAP. running the research behind that to see how to do that. There's some people from some of the, I think from Wits University coming in on it as well. So it's a whole combination of for-profit and public partners that come in to actually create these new offerings that's going to market. And it's fascinating to see what is possible. But it is looking at a market more broadly to say this is the environment, because remember, we're not living in that 7 million anymore. The quest of the world now is to have more customers deeper into the economic pyramid in that, because the competition is too high at the top end. We want SMMEs to come in. How do we look after small and medium businesses, into micro businesses? How do we give services to other types of players as well? Where does the opportunities lie? So if we better understand the environments in which we operate, we can identify customer needs and decide whether that is the type of thing that our business would want to do. Is it part of our core capabilities and so forth? And then we grow the business in that side. So that's the argument. We don't project just here, but we go that way as well. Do you think you will see more opportunities just by tweaking your thinking a little bit like that? By saying, let's do an environmental analysis rather than a business analysis. The way we start thinking often, it's got a lot to do with where we end up. So if we're stuck here all the time, sometimes we forget the things on that side. So who am I? Who's my customer? What's the environment that we are in? Very crucial questions for that. Now, in this environmental thing, yes, I can give them the information. That information can come out of my company, it can come out of my markets or my customers, but it can also come out of my macro environment. It's so important. I can also make sure that I feed information in from my market research. Now, working in market research most of the time, the one thing we find amazing is how often customers are so concerned that their competitors will get their research reports that their own employees never read it.
Yes,
And
that's very...
you know how often we are commissioned for research, and when you do a scan in the company, you find it at the division next door. How did you not know that they did that? It is, people often think that this information is so secretive, and then they
What sometimes happens in our instance, we see what needs to be on the website if it's in the papers. So it would be advertised, and then they would never actually started the IT process to make that available.
And now, how do employees feel if they read about their company something new in the newspaper?
Yeah, that's
Most of the time, the customers are educating us.
Yes, yes, yeah. You know, you just have to phone Media 24 and say, hey, thanks. Huh? I wouldn't have known that. So, but it can make people feel quite disjoint.
Yes.
To say, and yet, all of our employees have mobile phones. You could have sent a very simple text message to say, you know, that we are going to do this. This is a link to it if you want more information. It will also be in the news later this week, or you can phone this person for more information. But just the idea, even to think about letting people know about things beforehand is very important. But please don't send 100 text messages to people every day. It's the balance of it that we have to always look at to see if we can get it. And then obviously, the last information source is truly understanding your consumer behavior. And that will differ between the different business units to say, how do people buy and how does satisfaction work as people are buying that? Okay, now, when we're now starting to talk just about the customer side of it, what are we trying to do in marketing? We're trying to give people value. You agree? Let's start off by the concepts of customer satisfaction. Do you think customer satisfaction is important?
yes.
It's important now. Now, have you ever been dissatisfied, but you went back? You bought the same thing again? Unfortunately. Like what? Like what? Like, I'm in home affairs.
You
Yeah.
don't have a
No,
choice.
you don't have a choice. So in some cases, we are desperately unhappy. I hear that they've kind of revamped home affairs and that it's working so
But
well.
it's also
Yeah.
branch
Is it?
dependent. It's
I
branch
need a new
dependent.
It's branch dependent.
It's like banks, but it's like the one time I went to Sasolburg branch. You come in there, they say, "What's your number?" Put your ID number, give you a number. You sit in the queue, they call you out, they fill in the documents, and say, "There you go." And 6
Amazing.
weeks later, the SMS you say, "Please come and collect your."
And yesterday, because I have to go for a passport at the moment, somebody said to me that they deliver now in 2 weeks a passport.
Yes, it's very quick.
Is there?
It's very, very
I
quick.
hope that's true, and I so hope it's at the branch.
I can't drive to Heidelberg.
Where you
I was
guys?
in Germiston 2 weeks ago, passport renewal. I'd rather cancel the trip.
Is there?
But just one boat is also
Well, in
very.
Durban, in Pinetown, Pinetown Home Affairs is very fast. Within a week's time, we've got our
In
passport.
Durban Central, they got
I don't know about the central one.
Well, I think
Melanie, where are you
the
based?
Weinberg one was very.
Edenville.
Good. Yeah.
But I got it within 2 weeks.
Yeah. So, but I mean, even if you think about what they did with SARS, ne? You know, it's not that we're ever going to be happy to pay taxes. But they do make it easy to take our money so in various ways through different channels. But it's an important concept because they could have said, you know what, if you don't pay your taxes, I put you in jail, which is true. They didn't. They really came with a service-oriented approach around that to make it really easy for them to take lots of money, which is very, very clever in how they went about that. It's a very professional business that is running. But now let's look at broader, so not constraint-based services. Let's look at other services. Are you ever unhappy, but yet you buy again from the same place? You were unhappy with them, but you went back. Like when? McDonald's is a very good example, no?
Yeah, the kids love it and I don't.
Telkom,
Telkom. Okay, why do you keep on supporting them?
not too many alternatives.
Not too many alternatives.
Eskom is another one.
Yeah, on that one there's no
There is no
alternatives.
one.
Yes, that's Home Affairs.
Alternative.
Well, yeah, well, we can go green if you have lots of money. And you think like everyone says, oh, it's so important to go green, let's overcharge you for it. It's amazing. Think like, you know, if it was that important, surely they wouldn't charge us that for it. Okay, but when you look at it, there's many examples. Haven't you sometimes maybe given your car in for a service and the service was really not good, but it's closest to your home? And the next time you think, oh, I'll try them again. Yeah. Maybe it was just a glitch. You go to a grocery store that you really think is really not that nice. But then next time when you want to go to groceries, it's easier, it's closer, it's open, you go there.
Online shopping.
You go to a restaurant that you don't like, but your friends go there. Yeah. So then you go there and you spend the money regardless of the fact that it's not a favorite for you.
No, I don't waste my time.
You don't do that. Never, not ever.
There's a few restaurants that I've just written off.
That you've just,
No.
oh yeah.
And I'm also too
but
scared
what
to go
if your
back because I
friends-
haven't paid last time. So.
Okay, yeah. Then maybe you should just don't go back. Don't go
After
back.
you've asked for your bill for an hour, then you just decide to walk out.
Yeah, they obviously don't need the money.
Obviously, they're
Yes.
too busy to take the money.
Yes,
So.
yes, yeah. I'm so sorry that you're that busy. Goodbye.
just walked out.
No, I just walked out.
Which restaurant was that?
Esperi Medre. I was there for, it wasn't about an hour that I waited for them to actually bring me my bill. Then I went to the front desk and she said to me, no, sorry, we have a problem with our card machine. I said, well, that's not my problem. No, but,
Oh yes, I've also heard that.
yeah, but it's they can't help me. So I said, okay, fine, then I'll walk out.
Yeah. Yeah.
They should have informed you if they
Yeah.
were going to do so.
Yeah. Amazing.
Well, I don't know what to do then. I mean, I only have a card to pay with, so. I understand if the KFC does it a lot where they just put up a board and say.
No cards. You don't have
But
cash.
you
You
could have
can't
gone
come
and drawn
in.
money and gone back.
They're not after
Because many times they do force you to say you have to go and draw money.
Yeah, they
Yes.
do that.
They know.
They did tell me that.
Oh, they did do that.
So in other words, you should be
Maybe
locked
you should not go
No.
back there. I don't think that's a good idea.
up.
I
Legally
don't-
speaking, you would be locked up.
But again, if we go just quickly back to the environment thing, you know, one of the things about South African society is that we are lawless.